so much stuff to collect as a football fan back in the 90s. You had the Merlin's Premier League sticker album. You had all kinds of cards, like Subbuteo squads. Teams really started to ramp up their production of kits. So for birthdays, Christmas, we pretty much bankrupted our parents, having to have every single bloody kit. By the way, if you're a fan of childhood kits, check out my last video when I went through most of mine. But you've read the title of the video, you've come here because you indeed are a 90s kid, and you definitely collecting these.
Y'all ready for this?
Now I'm not going to start referring to all these as pro stars, soccer stars, or even bloody micro stars, because if I did, I would not be a true 90s kid. We simply knew these as Corinthians, or in this case, Corinthian Headliners. Now before we begin guys, I'd just like to thank Corinthian Archive for helping me out in this video. Check out the website or follow them on Instagram. So Corinthians all started back in August of 1995 as we made our way towards Euro 96. So for me, I did about 6 or 7 at this time, which was perfect. Apparently this all started from a convo in a pub, which again is perfect, as we love a pub reference on the channel.
Look at this.
They look like the sort of bloke you'd avoid eye contact with in the pub. So the very first range of Corinthians were made up of 16 England figures, most of which are next to me right here, which again was perfect as Euro 96 was hosted right here in England. There really wasn't much on the market like these at the time. I know before them you kind of had the Tonka figures, which were probably more remembered by 80s kids, a little bit before my time, but these just felt unique. You could get them in team packs of 12, a little bit like this one, and later you could get them in team packs of 14. You could obviously get them in their most popular form, which was the single blister pack. As you can kind of see over there, they also came in various forms of 4-player packs, and as well as those single blister packs, they also came in singular player boxes, which came with a little display stand. Now I've not got any on me, but they also did a variation on the 4-player pack. They did a 4-player box, a little bit like the singular player box, whereby it came with a stand for 4 players.
Do I not like that?
Please note I've used the other Corinthians as reference to the size of packs. Remember at this point there was only those original 16 England players. Now one pack which often gets forgotten is the secret blister pack, like I've got right here. Now these came in boxes of 16 and were normally found at newsagents because they kind of took up less room than the singular blister packs. Now in those boxes of 16 you would have one of each of those original 16 England players, but obviously you wouldn't know what was in each individual pack, such as this one, like I've got right here. Les Ferdinand, a good pack. Now obviously if you wanted all 16 but you also wanted the thrill of opening one of those secret blister packs, as I mentioned you could just buy a whole box because you'd be guaranteed to get all 16 figures. Corinthians later teamed up with Sainsbury's, the supermarket chain, and released 2 special edition figurines, both of which were England players in their away kits. You had Alan Shearer in his grey strip, and you had Safe Hands David Seaman in that infamous Refreshers kit, the one I mentioned last week in the Goalkeepers Are a Different Breed video. Check that video out by the way. So yeah, 2 special edition kits with a special edition football pack they did as well, so like a football and the 2 figures, which coincidentally was an item I was actually bidding on eBay last week before I had a right Barney rubble with a missus. She was going, "Right, you've spent way too much money on eBay lately," and I have, to tell you the truth. I am a milkman, so I'm by no means rich. Speaking of which, being a milkman and around that Euro 96 era, stay tuned because at the end of the video I'm going to show you a really cool item from back in Euro 96 which I come across every single day on the milk round. So after the success of those original England Corinthian figures, they released a further 24 England figures, one of which being the first ever manager. Here we have Altel, Terry Venables. Another thing I loved about Corinthians are the little collector cards. you'd get with each figurine. I mean, it says on the back of here, Dennis Bergkamp, as a manager of Arsenal, how would you rate this player right here out of 100? Obviously it's Bergkamp, so I'd rate him quite highly. He also came with this booklet as well, showing all the things that were available. It just gave them a little bit of identity. I remember in the 90s, Beanie Babies did a similar thing when they'd have a passport for each of their Beanie Babies.
And he ended up being worth about 4,000.
So after those original England figures, Corinthians finally jumped on the Premier League bandwagon in November of 1995. Now at this point the Premier League had dropped down from 22 teams to 20, and Corinthians released figures for each of those 20 teams. Similar to that original England range, they came in a variety of packs. Now some of these figures have become really rare, and I'm kicking myself because, as with most stuff from my 90s childhood, and I'm sure you can relate, I've either thrown it away, my mum's thrown it away, or I can distinctly remember going to a car boot about 15 years ago and just selling everything off really cheap. But do not fear, Roy is here on a mission. I aim to collect every single Corinthian figure from those original 95 figures up until the 98 era when they rebranded as Pro Stars. Even if my missus gets the fisticuffs out and puts me in a headlock, I will complete this mission. There was over 300 between that 95 to 98 era. Over 300 Corinthian figures. The reason being we can't give an exact number because there were slight variations to the same figure. Take our good mate over here, Eric Cantona. You'd have your standard collar version, but then you'd have one with the collar up. Some people count them as the same figure. Personally, I'd say they're a different figure. So for that reason, we don't know how many figures we need to collect to complete this mission. I mean, take Nick Barmby right here from the original 16 England figures. They're both supposed to be the same figure. They both say E13. But look at this one. The colouring, the mouth. And then look at this one. Colouring in the mouth a little bit different. So I mean, how much variety do you want in a figure? What do we class them as? For me, they would be the same figure because the stature's the same. It's just slight minor variations, unlike a Cantona and a collar. Naturally, they produced more figures for the bigger teams like Man United and of course Liverpool. Regardless of who you support, I think that's understandable. Obviously the bigger the club, the bigger the fan base, the more Corinthians they're going to make to supply that fan base. But that means that the smaller clubs, such as Sheffield Wednesday, they're going to produce less figures, there's going to be less around, they're going to be more scarce, so therefore they're going to be worth a little bit more money in this day and age. Take Reggie Blinker over there. Right guys, we're going to disrupt the flow of this video because here's a big box of Corinthian figures. We're going to do an unboxing right now. I've had this box that's lying around since the start of the channel, biding my time for this video. I vaguely remember what I've ordered off eBay, but I've forgotten what most stuff is in there. I've bought a lot of things in bundles, so I can't fully remember what I've ordered. So that hopefully is going to make for a better unboxing. So here we go. So we should have a nice variety of Corinthians for you. I'm pretty sure all of these will be from that 95 to 98 era. So if you've kind of casually glanced at some of the figures I've bought already, hopefully you can take note for me and we can try and track down the missing pieces to this puzzle. Starting off with, hopefully you can see all these okay, Darren Anderton from Tottenham Hotspur. Pack TH01. Does that mean he's the first in the Tottenham set? Possibly so. I think I might already have Darren Anderton over there actually. I think I've got him in England too, so yeah, not such a good start. Number two, we seem to be sticking with a Spurs theme, very Spursy in this video. We've got Teddy Sheringham. Now I've got Teddy already, but in the Man United strip behind me right there. A nice change of pace here. A bit of a throwback to last week's video. We've got Mr. Hans Segers from Wimbledon. Guilty until proven innocent. No, innocent until proven guilty with that match fixing scandal. One, obviously I like, it's a United one. We've got Brian Kidd. You do not see many assistant managers. Just shows the success of United at the time. Very different from today. I've got him in England over there, but we've got him in Arsenal now. David Platt. Oh wow, I do remember buying this one actually. And this has got to be one of the most unflattering of Corinthians out of the lot. I'm going to make sure you've got a close-up of this one. There he is, Mr. Gary Penrice from QPR. I did refer to the Corinthian archive, obviously check that out. This apparently is one of the more rare of Corinthians because of the fact he plays at QPR and because of the fact he probably has, well, he definitely has, a moustache. Personal favourite right here. I've actually already got this figure right here. Premier League, I say Premier League great, definitely a well-remembered player, Neil Razor Ruddock. Because I've already got him over there on the shelf, I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of a competition. For any figure that I've got a double of or even a triple of, we're going to do a bit of a competition and you can win some of these Corinthian figures. So stay tuned, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Raw United's Nostalgia to win some figures. A little bit different right here. We haven't mentioned the SFL so far. Here we have some Scottish, I don't even know if he is Scottish, Keith Wright, I'm guessing so, from Hibernian. Don't see that around too often. Very, very Spursy, this box. Sol Campbell. Did the dirty on him, obviously went to Arsenal. Again, a double up. Another opportunity for you guys to win some Big Ed Corinthian action. We have Mark Crossley from Nottingham Forest. Now this one right here is rather intriguing because we've got Stuart Pearce, not in a Forest strip. I've got him in a Forest strip behind us. We've got him in a Newcastle strip. But let me give you a close-up. What do you notice different about that? Where's the Nuki Brown? Where's the badge? It's just plain black and white.
And Psycho screaming, freelance on.
Psycho was obviously screaming and just ripped off the badge and the sponsor from his shirt. We've got loads more in here, guys. I'm actually going to pop this box down for a sec. Because in here we've got, I do remember ordering these, we've got some different Corinthians. Now I'll get onto it later on in the video what they did overseas, but we have, where's my scissors? We have some overseas action right here. Rather than calling them Corinthian headliners, here we have Super Champions, Equipe de France. So we've got Alain Rocher, I can't even remember how to say his name, from the French team. Very, very nice. Lovely figurine right there. Most of you, regardless of whether you're a United's kid or not, will obviously know some royalty, French royalty right here. Mr. Zinedine Zidane, probably his first ever Corinthian, or at least one of the first. Very, very nice right there. Oh, lovely. Next we have Christian Carembru. I'm terrible with my French. See, I have no recollection of actually buying these figures. I've got two of him, look. Rather random purchases, as you do on eBay when you're getting carried away. So, back to the Premier League. Again, staying very Spursy, because we've got Chris Armstrong, TH23. Again, another one you can win in the competition, because I think I've got him already, Tony Yeboah. Probably scored two of the best Premier League goals of all time. Those absolute belters. One at Selhurst Park, I think against Wimbledon, and one against Liverpool. Here we have Ian, right. Do the right thing. Very 90s right there.
You're out your mind, body in swing. You're at the strength, do the right thing.
I do prefer the clubs who are no longer in the Premier League, because we've got another Sheffield Wednesday to join Reggie Blinker. Arguably a very underrated striker, David Hirst. I think Alex Ferguson was interested in buying David Hirst at one point. Gary Speed, God rest his soul, an awesome player in the lead strip right there. Nigel Winterburn, great Arsenal left back, didn't really make it onto the England scene, but a lovely figurine nonetheless. Tony Cottee, we have got him already, but not in a blister pack. We've got him loose, possibly from the car boots last year. More Wimbledon action. I do love a bit of Crazy Gang, especially as they're no longer with us in this form. We've got Robbie Earle. Nice figure. Oh, another double up. This will go as part of a competition for you guys. Les Ferdinand. I don't think we've got him in the carded version, so we might keep that one. Oh Christ, he's making a double appearance. The Spurs is spreading in the box because we've got another Spursy version of Les Ferdinand, DH20. Here we have Sparky, Mark Hughes, former United player, had moved to Chelsea at that point. Lovely Corinthian right there. What have we got left? Oh my days, we've got the hat trick because we've got Les in his Nuki Brown. Unlike Stuart Pearce, let's get it in focus. Unlike Stuart Pearce, Les has taken the time and effort to put a Nuki Brown sponsor onto his kit right there. Wonderful job. There we go, a fabulous, oh, fabulous free right there. I think that's all of them. Well packaged. They all seem to be in somewhat good condition, probably up until this point when I completely obliterate the boxes. No, I will be keeping these sealed. So, back to the video. So remember back then, nobody really used the internet. So in order to build on your collection, you had to physically go out the house, go down to like Woolworths, Woolies as we know it, and search through the figures yourself. For me, that's what made collecting way better back in the 90s. I know what you're gonna say, alright, back then you were a kid in the 90s, and now you're a 33-year-old man. But look at me, I'm very immature. I still do collecting. It is just not the same. But that's why, like, I still go to car boots, for example, because it gives me that thrill, that buzz to hunt for some 90s nostalgia. And speaking of which, ladies and gents, I will be doing just that because the car boots open back up in a couple of weeks around here, and I'm going to be filming some of my car boot finds. We're going to be on the hunt for some 90s nostalgia at my local car boots. Hopefully we pick up some goodies. So if you're interested in those sort of videos, subscribe, make sure you turn notifications on so you don't miss out. So after that initial Premier League release, Corinthians started to use the name Headliners on their figures. Now obviously that Headliners name ran until 1998 when an American company bought the Headliners name off them, hence why they had to rebrand as Pro Stars. Now I remember having some Pro Stars back in the 90s. Most notably I can remember having Dwight York and Yap Stam in the Man United kits. But generally speaking, I will not remember Corinthians as Pro Stars. I probably won't even remember them as Headliners. We all know what we remember Corinthians as. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gents. We used to call them Big Eds. Take off the H, Big Eds. Big Eds. Let me know in the comments if you called them something else. I'm sure you'll agree they are Big Eds. So Corinthians had the SFL range for Scotland. They had the Superstars range in Italy, in France and Spain. They had the Super Champions range. I don't have any German figures, but they had the Super Kickers range in Germany. I have no idea how to say it. I do apologise for offending any Portuguese, but it was like a Super Campeões range in Portugal, a Die Spelers range in Holland. I could go on and on. Basically, they had a distinctive range for different countries. They rebranded in different ways, but one I'm sure you'll remember, especially if you're from England, was the Tetley T range. Ooh, where, if you haven't guessed it already, you got some figures in your Tetley T. They would come in individual packs, they would come in double packs like this one, or there was a possibility of actually having the team pack with the team stand. Now, you can tell it's very 90s because I'm pretty sure, according to Corinthian Archive, you had to send off some money for a certain figure. Very pre-dawn of the internet, even though the internet was around. But yeah, they come in rather basic packaging as well, as you can see right here. I'm sure they come in like some cardboard packaging as well. So there were 12 figures in total, and they were done as promotion leading in to France '98, the World Cup. So ladies and gents, I could go on all day about Corinthians. I love them, and I'm sure you love them too. If you want to know a bit more, as I mentioned before, there is a link in the description below to the Corinthian Archive. Thanks for your help today, Corinthian Archive. Now, before we go, let us know in the comments below, what were your childhood memories of these big-headed beauties? Right now, me mum, me dad and me gran are off for a bucket of Vindaloo. I'll see you next week.
Vindaloo, Vindaloo.